Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. We are starting episode 144 of the Daily Color. It is a continuation. This is technically part 3. I had to stop. I was going over time on this lovely little flower, circle flower, using the Black Widow colored pencils. I am on, that is the 12th set of pencils I am using on this particular page, which has 30 circled flowers, and I am using every one of my colored pencil sets plus a couple of odds and ends. So we have the 3 colors we were working with yesterday, and here they are. Let's get them in the colors. I'm only using 3 Black Widows. This is going to be a very simple circle. 29 or SC29, SC82, and SC51. These are all 3 from the Scorpion set. I have been sharing a little bit of my thoughts about each of the pencils as I use them, and my goal is to finish this week. I have only today and tomorrow, so we'll see how far we can get. I will try to be more efficient with my time. The 3 colors are the light blue, which is the sky, this dark green, and then the light green. And we will see how it goes. I am going through these sets in alphabetical order first, then by alphabetical order by brand, and then alphabetical by product name. So now that was the dark green. I am using this light green to make these little white with just a hint of green, white bellflowers. You can't leave the white flowers out. I talked about the Black Widows being one of my favorite sets, and that I was not sure and not oops, that's blue. Not sure what to expect because I see mixed reviews on these. How to cover up that dark blue. I was distracted. So we've got, I only own half of the set. I think I forgot to say that yesterday. I own 96 of the 180. I am missing Dragon and Monarch. Those are the 2 bigger sets. Those have dipped ends, so right now the only thing that tells me what colors these are is the name, if the name happens to have the color in the name, and then the tips. So I did swatch these right away. I used a sort order. I made a case insert, which I have as a free download. I will be sure to put that free download link for both the case insert and the blank swatch format that I use, as well as so I've got the swatch and the strips that go on the swatches. Then I have the case inserts. So there's a total of 3 downloads for you. So there's the completion of that cute little flower. The next one we're moving on to is my very first budget set that I ever got. It is still my favorite set. I had said yesterday that I don't really define my pencil sets in a numeric order of descending popularity within my worlds. I actually think of them more as, I love these pencils. These are good pencils. These are okay pencils, and I don't like these pencils very much. And for me, I love these pencils. I have said about these Brutfuner Squares from the beginning. I am using number 35. I have 2 sets of these, and both sets have indeed got numbers on them. These I actually used a Dremel tool and ripped off the edge. These are a square, so it was really easy to get that flat surface of enamel paint removed with one quick zip of the Dremel, and then I used a fine Sharpie marker to add the numbers. And and then there's Chinese characters for the name. The newer ones come with an English translation, which I do not have. So 35 is what I am using now. I will put the description in the description all of the numbers used for each set. I do have a total of 30 sets picked out and placed on my little map of what I am doing for each of these cute circled flowers. It is very time consuming, and I have tried to sharpen as I go, but if I find I need to pause, I don't want to take coloring time to sharpen because I am trying to be as efficient as possible. This is a very smooth paper that I am using. That's in the Johanna Basford's Small Victories. So as I am using some of these pencils, I am finding I have to smooth out the backgrounds when they're like the big backgrounds that this one has. The bellflowers I just finished to the left also had a large background, so it requires a little smoothing. I have been doing some cleanup off to the side after I am done, trying not to take too much time with doing the coloring. Not only that, I am a little bit far away and cannot use readers when I'm this far away, so I'm having to go back and clean up some of the white spaces that I've left. So these Brutfuner squares are very soft. Now this is really interesting though. Here I am saying all these positive things. Do you guys see what I am seeing? I am seeing purple. It makes me wonder if this particular pencil has some purple intermixed, or maybe, which I have not encountered this yet, the ink, the printer ink is coming up, because I'm only getting this purple when I am close to the black edge of the ink. So that means when I'm all done with this, I will be testing this particular blue out. I'm going to set it aside and figure out if it is interacting with the ink. That would be very interesting to know. Okay, so the Brutfuners, love them, but they do make crumbs. You can see some crumbs. There, I just blew that away. I am moving on to greens. I do have two greens, 42 and 77, and I will tell you that these are a couple of my favorite greens that I love to use from the Brutfuner Squares. This is one of the few sets that I own multiples of because I actually bought them for a specific purpose and then have since, actually as soon as I got them, and I was going to use those for a specific purpose. I then wanted a generic set that I could use for just coloring anytime I wanted without for my special project I had to put a bunch of numbers on them using my label maker, so I didn't want to then use them so often that the labels would wear off. I have found I've done the same labeling system with my polychromos, and some of those labels have fallen off, and I used shipping tape over my Brother label on all of them, and they still don't necessarily adhere very well. Now, the good thing is, so I've finished my greens. The Brutfuners, being square, are less likely to have the labels peel up because they're square, and the labels are small, and they fit perfectly on the flat right next to the numbers that they have. So next I'm going to use reds, 9 and 103, starting with the darker color. I tend to like to make this little circle, if the flower has one, I like to make that green, because the bud of the flower and the base usually is green. Okay, so that means I'm just going to quickly grab this light green that I used. I find that these are very pigmented, they are very soft and creamy, they are that buttery feel, they are very quiet. And since I now have been adding more and more budget pencils to my collection, I still keep coming back to these, and every time I use them, they just go right back to the top of my I love them list. So I think, but I hate to say for sure, because I would have to take all of my I love them pencils and do a compare and try to figure out some tests that I can do to make a good neutral decision of which of my pencils that I love would be the top of the list. All right, we are done. We are moving on. I will be playing with this light blue. I've already pulled it aside so that I can see if it has a fragment stuck in it somehow from maybe a deeper purple, because you can see that there's purple in the sky blue. I even, look at this, I had a third green. I pulled out a third green 79, so I had like 35, 77, and 79, and then this is the darkest green. I was getting all fancy, and I did it because these leaves are so nice and big and lush. So there I've added a little more depth. And now we're moving on. The next set, now we get into some interesting sets, because now, according to my diagram, I have the Brutfuner Macarons. And these I also love. They are interesting because they look exactly like Holbein knockoffs. I have 5 of them here. I have 3 very small little flower elements, and I believe that my plan was to just use peach and pink, because again, macarons are pastels. I should have probably grabbed a third one here. I am sort of doing the tricky hydrangea looking multicolored leaves, and I enjoy doing that on these smaller flowers. I don't know if you guys can hear my frog buddy. I'm sitting in the living room and he lives right behind me. He and his generations, I don't know how long frogs last, but there is right behind my window a frog that makes that same sound after every rain, and we had a little storm come through earlier this afternoon. So it's all wet out there, and that's when he loves to sing. I am now, let's see what colors we've got. And this is a hard one to read, by the way. 678 was the pink. 0887 is the, I guess, apricot peach color. The light green is 1272. Darker green is 1291. And the sky is the background, and it is 0636. And that's the one I have in my hand. So I'm just going to go ahead and use it. So if I were to take my Brutfuner pencil sets, which I have 4, and one of them is actually decor all over my walls of my craft room, but I do have a couple of color. I didn't use the yellow, orange, red on my wall, but I used the other color families. So I have done some testing with them, and they are very similar. The set on the wall is a 520. It is the colorful box that are the 2 drawers. and they are very good. Love them. But I would have to say that when you put them in order of what I like best by the feel, I even say that these macarons edge out the Brutfuner Squares for feel and quietness. These are like stealth pencils. I can't hear them at all. They're very creamy. Earlier this week, I used the Holbeins, which are also extremely creamy. And a little bit on the, they have a catch to them, just like the Lightfast do. When you're doing little circles, they'll make a little sound when they start filling up the tooth. So they get a little bit on the sticky side. And these do not. Look, I've filled up the tooth and they're still just as quiet as can be. Just as creamy, not catching on the pigment that has been laid down. And they are just fantastic. All right, so I'm back to the light green because I didn't finish that. And I have not grabbed a yellow. So I am just going to put a light green in the centers of these so I can finish and move on. My last little bit of work, we have this darker green. I said I wouldn't be sharpening, but I will. Oh, and I see that I forgot one leaf. This one right here. And now this is plenty sharp enough to just go in and darken up under each petal. All right, and that's the end of the macarons. Lovely, lovely pencils. Okay, the next group, we can say we are moving to one last Brutfuner. Here they are. And this set of Brutfuners, we call them the flower box. There are a set of 520. And my colors that I am using today are 3 oranges. I hope I can pick the correct light, medium, dark. They have all been numbered just like the Brutfuner Squares, only I just numbered using Sharpies on top of the paint. The paint is a little bit of a matte finish, though some of them are glossy, and I did have a harder time numbering them. The numbers do exist way over here in the tiniest imprinted numbers, and I actually took a dark marker on the light and light marker on the dark to lighten those up, and that's when I decided I was going to go ahead and put them on large enough that it would not be a struggle to read them. And the flower we're doing is here, which is a lovely multiple flower arrangement. This is the lightest. I want to start with the darkest one. So these, again, these feel just like the squares. I have not had these as long. I have not done as many coloring projects with them, but they are quite lovely, creamy, and this 520 set, I have a large case I put them in, and I've shared them in other videos. And everything is numbered in the case for each row of the elastic straps, which are the single pencil slotted straps, not the 3 pencils that you can also use for like gel pens. And so each page and row has the starting number and ending number so that I can keep on track. But I noticed as I filled in the case with the pencils, the color families kind of took hold. And unless I'm going to take a whole bunch out, it'll be easy for me to know, which set of pages are the blues, the purples, the yellows, the reds. So it ended up that I am not sure if I will really need that particular extra step that I put in. But I usually do these crazy projects like this that make me have to get in there and, pull pencils out quite often, and I wanted it to be as efficient a system as possible. So to keep my pencil count down, see, or I don't know if you can hear how quiet these are. They are just so creamy and quiet. I am using the lightest orange here as the center rather than having to go get a yellow. And I have one more to do that I missed. Then we'll get onto the leaves. I'm making sure to do some shadows. If I wasn't doing, so many sets, I would absolutely be putting more colors. But these are teeny tiny flowers. So even having a full 3 colors here, because I'm doing so many, it has 5 flowers, it really could be just 2. But because these are a favorite, I wanted to make sure that I show them off to their fullest capabilities. Okay, that's the end of the oranges. I've got 3 greens, and I'm actually going to use 2 greens, these 2 colors, 145 and 146. Notice I have gold on this one. That is when I wore out one of my silver Sharpies and had to switch to an alternative color because I did not want to stop with my organizing that night. So I just went and found another color, and I think that gold is a Dollar Tree metallic that I actually used for most of the project and found them to be very, very nice pens. They're a little bit heavy. The nib is a heavy bullet. But other than that, they worked really well. My background color is going to be 271. And I will say the naming conventions used for the 520 is really fun. Fanfare is what this color is. They just came up with crazy names. The greens are foliage and cactus. So Fanfare is one of the more interesting names that they came up with. And as you can see, it is a lovely blue teal. The barrel colors are not perfect. This barrel, I think, is quite dark for the color that it is. But if you had to make colors for 520 different pencils, I think you would run out of shades to deal with also. Yeah, so these are they're right up there. They're in the I love them category. Every time I use them, and I've used the squares a lot more, and for a lot more years, but these are right up there. All right, so I am finished. And remember, this right here is a Macaron set. So we are gonna rotate my Lazy Susan here full of pencils, and now we're moving on. So we have done 3 Brutfuners, the squares, Macarons, 520 flower box set. Moving down now, we move into the Castle Arts, of which I believe I own all of them. Starting out with, oh, that is not what we're starting out with. We're starting out with the Soft Touch. Soft Touch is one of the other sets that I bought a second set. I actually got the second set in a adult coloring supply lot from eBay, and then I'm very happy with what I got in that selection of items. So the colors we're going with is, we're doing another unconventional coloring. I am going to do the background in this lovely yellow called Naples Yellow, number 8. Love the name, the lettering choice, the font, as well as the placement of the number. These are very easy to read, and I am ever so grateful for every set of pencils that I have bought that I can actually read without straining my eye. Okay, the yellow is also not the center. I'm using it on the ring outside the center. I think that these are a very fun flower. I am next going to use this dark orange, which is number 17, cadmium orange. I am very pleased with the names and numbers and the legibility of them for the 2 big Castle Arts sets. So my light flower color, I picked this specifically because this, to me, in my world, is not mauve, but this is what they named it, 093. And then for the shadow color, we're going with Mulberry 039. And I will start with this shadow color. The Soft Touch pencils are actually very nice. They are, unless you get a screaming good deal, which they do go on sale a lot, they're, oops, I'm gonna have to erase that away. The regular price on them is a little bit on the high side, for just slightly out of what I would consider budget range. They still are a very nice pencil. I have done lots of projects with them, and I believe they are considered a wax-based pencil, and I haven't really noticed anything, with all of my pencils that say wax-based. I guess I am not really, I don't feel a difference between the wax and the oil-based pencils. It's more of, how quiet is it? How does it feel for me to use it? What's the color payout like? Does it chip, break, crack, leave crumbs? How pleasant is it to use as a pencil, more than what materials are in it that makes up the pencil. So, I already said, again, I just want to point out, again, this is called mauve. These blend really nice. I tend to be a light layerer person, so as I'm putting down subsequent layers, for this particular coloring exercise, I am not necessarily doing my normal light layers technique. It's probably a tweener technique, because I'm wanting to finish as many of these as I can in the allotted time so I can finish them more quickly. So here's how these beautiful pencils look and feel, and I can blend and blend and blend and smooth out the dark colors. So I now have 2 greens for my last chunk of work. The light green is Castle Green Light. They tend to do the light. They use the word dark. They use the word deep. This is number 59. And then Hooker's Green is 54. That 54 was a little difficult for me to read, I will admit. Because of that shiny silver, I had to rotate it. And it's silver. What makes this hard for me is it's dark and it's kind of dark on dark, even though it is silver. The reflection is difficult. And yes, if you wonder, have I been reading lots and lots of hard to read names and numbers for the last few days? Yes. It has been quite the project, but still very fun. I hope you guys hearing me talk about each of my pencil sets one by one, that it will help you with your sets. I'm going to say that the soft touch has been surprising. I would still probably not quite put them in the I love them category, but they are a good pencil. They don't immediately strike me as I love them. They are a little bit on the, they're not scratchy, but they're not a quiet, really buttery pencil. I can hear them where the Brutfuners I couldn't really hear at all. They're very light. They have a very light wood, and so they don't feel like a substantial pencil. Like some of the pencils feel really beefy, and they might have a very glossy surface that makes them feel really fancy. So these just feel like workhorse type pencils, the same way I feel about the Color Black Barrels. Okay, so that one is finished. Easy peasy. The next set is, now I have to move to Castle Arts Gold. So this will be interesting because I have been very pleasantly surprised by the Castle Arts Gold. They are more of a fancy pants feeling pencil. We've got the brown is going to be a center, and it's permanent brown. Here's the word deep. I told you they like to use the word light and deep, and have like the full range, kind of giving you the ability to blend if you want from light to dark. So we have 160, 102, 185. Those are the two greens. 160 is the center of the flower. I decided to do a dark background, and it is 104, and it is another deep, Terra Verde deep, and there is a Terra Verde. And then my flower colors are orange and a dark orange, 9 and 79. I don't know if I've said today, but all of the colors will be in the description. There's our flower we are going to color. You can see that it looks very suspiciously like a variation of a sunflower, which is why I am picking this brown. So the golds really surprised me when I used them on some houses, and I pitted them directly against the Brutfuner squares. So that was very pleasant. The one thing, just like the Brutfuner, but I think these are even more so, is they leave crumbs. They are very crummy, not crumbly, crummy. You can hear there's a little bit of noise going on. The barrels are really difficult. The dipped ends do not match with the pigment color. So you do have to swatch these and use your swatches. I am seeing crumbs forming. I have not seen a lot of crumbs yet on any of the sets. I think there was only one or two that I mentioned seeing some crumbs. So I would think with as many crumbs as I get, I find that these are messy, which is funny because the Prismacolors, I've had some struggles with messiness, but the last couple of times I've used them, I haven't really had too many crumbs with them. But I definitely have struggled with crumbs with these. And I'm even seeing with this Terra Verde Deep that I'm having to see, I'm trying to go in circles because I want to smooth out this color. So these were very surprising when I used them and pitted them against the Brutfuner squares, but they definitely had some issues that you need to work out with them. I'm moving right to the greens that I already shared. And they are all in the same green color family, a bluish green. And we're going to move to the light color. Something a little different. It's very hard to be random when you're doing 30 different colors using different brands. I decided to not, this is back to the background, Terra Verde Deep. I have this little tiny triangle to fill in, and then I also want to do a little shadow, a little more shadow work. So at this point, they actually are pretty saturated. They have saturated the tooth, and they're a little slick. So this is a pencil that will have a limit to how many layers, because now I'm trying to put this dark in, but I've already filled in the tooth, so it's really difficult to get the color to go down over the top because of that slickness. Some pencils can be very slick and buttery, and they still can layer and layer and layer for days. And I do not know what the science is behind the ingredients they put in that will make them be able to layer over the top of themselves over and over. But I did get enough darkness that I am happy with that. The next are 2 oranges. I'm going to put these 3 back. And we've got, actually, I guess it's a yellow and an orange. So there's another deep, cadmium orange deep. So 9 is the light color and 79 is the dark color. And I am going to do the yellow. Ah, yes, and the yellow in this set, some of the sets, the yellow and orange are so dreamy compared to the other colors, and this is definitely one of them. So nice. Okay, what are we doing for time? We're at 37 minutes. I need to hustle up here. Okay, so I think I've said a lot about these. They have their pluses and a couple of minuses to watch out for. There is my finished image, and then I am moving right on to the metallic. Okay, so we have, I guess the metallics are, I have to find the metallics. What color are they? And did I possibly put them in a different spot? Well, that's very interesting. I have, the metallics are silver. I've actually got them over here in another location, so I'm going to hopefully carefully reach out. This was also a pleasant experience for me. Very unexpected. So if you are a really tactile person and you want a beautiful, soft, wonderfully buttery, quiet pencil, these metallics, so this is Moonstone 010. These are, because of the mica that makes them metallic, and they're not a shiny metallic, they're a muted metallic. Pretty much most pencils are muted if they're metallics. But these have such a lovely feel that if that's all you cared about, I would say get yourself the biggest metallic set. There are a few really good ones. This one actually is a good one. That it's got 48 colors, which is nice, and it covers most of the ranges. You'll see when I finish this that it's still a little bit on the soft side, but for feel alone, I could sit and just color some nice, big, simple coloring pages and be very relaxed by using them. They just are a relaxing pencil. Okay, so I have 4 greens. I do have 2 greens. This is the lighter green. It's called Pacific Green 37. And my darker green that I picked is Malachite Green 16. So let's go in like we would normally do and get some shadow greens in. Okay, one thing I did notice. So I went ahead when I used these today. I did some color swatch sampling to see how my blends were doing. And that darker one, the Malachite Green, actually did crumble a little bit when I first started with it. But I have done some projects with these and have not overall seen an issue with crumbling. And I haven't seen crumbs either. But literally the end, when I first put it down to the paper, a little corner of it just broke off. I'm moving on to, I have a yellow and an orange. I have Dragon Orange 25 and Vegas Yellow 29. And these are going to be, there's 2 different kinds of flowers. I am making the brown center for the seeds be somewhat sunflower-esque. And then the little tiny flowers are going to be the orange ones. I love it when the color combinations, like I'm going right over that, the brown, because it's a color that won't be altered by my yellow. I am trying to get the centers to be yellow, but I'm not too concerned because they are so teeny tiny. And then I've got my orange for all these little guys. I'm watching my time, 42. Let's see if we can. I might even go over this one to get this row finished. Hub is doing his napping thing, and I think I have time. So I might as well go ahead and try to get caught up, so to speak. I'm not sure how well these blend. I guess I've always used them like I'm doing right now. I did use the dark as the shadow on the greens, but I haven't done a ton of that. Oops, and I do not have the right color for the background. Sorry about that. Blue, Crystal Blue 39 is going to be the background. So this center is going to be a mix of both of those colors. I did landscape, like these little scenes, I guess. They were like little islands, and I enjoyed doing them, but they were also small like this, so I haven't really, I've used them for some journaling page colorings where I went ahead and intensified these images that already were colored, and that was a lot of fun. I've also used them on black for you guys to see how then they have a very soft metallic look, kind of like a sheen, and you can get more of that sheen to show when you use them on black. So that one's done, and these were very nice, just as nice as every time I use them. They're a little muted in their color palette. Probably don't necessarily see the blends all that well, but they are a lovely pencil. Again, the very light wood of Castle Arts. So we're moving on to the last Castle Arts. I want you to see all of these. They're all shiny silver with the white letters and the color barrels. I've got some of the color coming off of the barrels, I've noticed, because I want you to see that the next set that I am going to pull are their sister set. And we're going to start with Hydrangea and Heather, 40 and 41. And these are the exact same feeling pencil, so it's the same wood, but they are shiny. They are not shiny, they're an enamel. So they're shiny because they have a gloss finish. And I am going to color two of the flowers with these colors, which are like a purple, hydrangea purple, which is the name that this one is. These are also creamy and lovely, and when I did the houses, I pitted these against the Brutfuner Macarons. And though, yes, the Macarons, they're in my I love them group, these still surprised me. They actually did a very nice job. Cost-wise, they are more expensive than the Macarons. You get two more. The Macarons are a 50, and you can also get them in a 72. So I'm not thinking that these are necessarily the best bargain, because I ended up getting my macarons, the Brutfuners, from AliExpress for like $13. And these are a 48. I got them on sale. I got them on a really good sale. So maybe if you take the $13 and then I get my cases, the small 50 cases, you can get from, Temu for $5 to $6. So you add that to the 13, that's still only $19. And I thought these at $22, it was a really, really good deal. So they are a more expensive pencil. And this, I like to buy the sets that have the extras, as they call them. Oops. And the extras did not come with this set. It was just the pencils in the case. However, if you don't want to buy from like AliExpress, because I find that the pricing is more for the Brutfuner macarons on Amazon, I don't think they're as competitive price-wise. You can certainly buy these, and they are a very good pencil. So now I'm using two different color tones. They're like a violet, Tickle Pink 43, and Wisteria 42. These are quiet. These are creamy. They have a good payout for a pastel. I think they still put out a nice color. Notice that above them, those are, oops, you don't see it, sorry about that. Above them are the Brutfuners. So I'm going to color a little bit and let you compare those two. I didn't plan it that way, by the way. This is how it works out in alphabetical order. Again, I started by brand. Oh, and the first 7 sets are my professional sets. I haven't done a lot with them. I'm just starting to integrate them into my rotation. And I've got, oh, I wanted to get fancy. Okay, so I do have the professionals. All 7 of them are together at the top in brand, then product name order. So my plan here, I'm going to go back to showing you the focus on the Castle Arts, is there's quite a bit of these little spaces, so I thought it would be fun to do a 2-tone background. So this is the darker of the blues. It is called Larkspur 39, and there's its name. And I'm just going in to the more centered color location, and then I'm switching to Lobelia 37. They are very vivid, I think, for pastels. Look at how vivid this one is. So bright, so creamy. So again, when I was using these on the house right below the Brutfuner Macarons, I was very pleasantly surprised. But in most cases, you will pay more money for these as well. Okay, the last two colors that I have is a very simple green because the flowers are so small, Savannah 24. Yellow. We've got a nice yellow called Saffron. Here is the one little problem. There are a few of these that have the white lettering because all of the barrels have the white lettering, even the very soft colored ones, and I've had to add labels. So those are my Brother Label Maker labels. And I haven't even taped them on. I just cut them off. They're tiny 0.23 wide tape, and the only thing I want to do here before we move on is clean this up. I will have to go back through and clean some of these all up, but I'm trying to get them as complete as possible. There's a little green there. Okay, so then the very last color for this row that will finish up the day, to me, is somewhat, for lack of a better term, these are Evazar, by the way, and Evazars are actually over here the other direction. So these kind of look like poinsettias to me, so that's how I'm going to color them. And I'm going to start with the two reds, which make up the flower petals. This is a beautiful pencil, so beautiful. Just everything about these pencils are wonderful. This hologram is really impressive. A glossy finish. They are numbered already in color family order, starting with yellow. This is number 26, Venetian red, and number 30, maroon. So when you go to put them away, if you take out and put away a lot of pencils like I do, if they are automatically in the number order and you don't have to have this case insert thing to make it all fancy, it's just saves so much time. These are buttery, they are creamy, they blend like a dream. They are smooshable for me. I'm not even a good smoosher at all. I'm more of a light layers person, and I am able to manipulate these colors and merge them in with other colors. I did a really cool Pegasus with all shades of purple, which actually in the end makes me very sad because my purples are all really short now. And then I did a bunch of blending out with the white, and so the white is also really short. The other thing that makes me a little sad about these, being that they are in my I love them category, they don't seem to be very readily available. They have not been available on Amazon for a while in the larger size. You can get the 24, but there's no way that a coloring person like me is going to be happy with 24. And you can't buy them as singles. That's the other sad part. I think, as I mentioned, with my doing the channel and getting involved with the having a lot of sets, I realize that these sets, things like the Evazar and the Artex and the Artezas, I only have a 72, and the 120 is too expensive for me to be able to justify it. So for replacement sets, I am not going to stress about that. I'm going to enjoy these pencils as I have them, and if when the time comes that my favorite pencils, the white, the Evazar white, is going to disappear first. It's going to be gone. I will just use something of my other sets. I will commingle them, and I am totally okay with that. And there are enough of the sets that I own that I can buy singles of, that's what my route will be. I will just not be upset, and I'm not going to let myself, get into the I have to have 2 and 3 and 4 sets of backups for these, because there are plenty of sets, I think, that satisfy my coloring needs well enough that I can use those for replacements. So that is my speech on how I'm going to handle these wonderful pencils like the Evazars that are just quiet and creamy and blendable. And I'm just not going to let myself get all stressed that I can't get a hold of another set of them. They're just going to be a unicorn for me in my collection. And when they're gone, they're gone. This is very smooth paper, and I am seeing that trying to fill in the tooth with these being as creamy as they are is not perfect. I'm seeing some tooth. So I see a little chink in their armor that I have not experienced because I've only colored with them on the Nina Bristol Vellum Smooth. So these might not be the best pencils to use on very smooth paper. Next, I've only got 3 colors. I only picked 5 colors for this page, and they're kind of all Christmassy colors. So my green is Evergreen 88. So being that my reds are leaving some tooth and I'm not really wanting to spend the time to smooth them out on this smooth paper, my background is a dark background, so this will be interesting. So I was toying with the centers being my orange yellow, and I thought it actually made the poinsettias, because they're already on the dark side, too dark. So I chose lemon yellow, which is a light yellow, number 11. Yes, I am very happy I changed that. I had the orange picked and I thought that might be a little too dark. So there we have it. Now we're going to fuss with our background. And then we're going to call this done. We are way over. I am sorry about that, everybody. But I don't want this to extend past the weekend. So I have to finish it tomorrow. Let's get our background done and call it. I would even do the background off on my own, but I am curious about the ability for this blue to make a fairly smooth surface for the background. Can it do it with this very smooth paper? And I do thank you all for joining me today. And thank you for returning. If you are a returning visitor, I love doing this. I love doing the coloring and sharing my journey with everyone, exploring my pencil collection and my finds that I get, the special deals on the various online places that I like to shop at, and even the Facebook Marketplace. So that is done. And it did a pretty decent job. The reds just might be particular about the type of paper they're on, because this blue did a pretty good job. So that is it for today. We have concluded episode 144, and the next episode will be our final 2 rows. These 2 rows here that you can't even see the whole thing because I've blown it up so big. So thank you for joining me again, and we will see you tomorrow. Do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, and consider subscribing, and we'll see you then.